Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday morning. We're going to start out this morning and go through some of the recent short trade ideas that I've pointed out. And then we'll just look at any kind of subscriber stock picks you guys want me to look at. So what we do on these live streams is obviously cover, look, we're looking for trade ideas, I think, as a group. Ultimately, we're looking for some good trade ideas for next week and or the near future. And so anything you guys want me to look at, leave a comment in the chat box and I'll pull up the chart. I can't get to all of them when we get everybody in here, but I can try to get to, the ones that look interesting, I'll definitely try to highlight. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And you guys, leave me a thumbs up if the audio is working good and if everything sounds good. Sounds like one person says that audio is great, so perfect. All right, so I got the S&P 500 heat map up here just to kind of give everyone an idea of how we closed out on Friday. Big down day with Amazon, obviously, and a couple other stocks I want to point out that look interesting. So PayPal, you can see that's a big red one. So let's get right into these charts. I was looking at this one. We'll get back to that one. So PayPal, a couple things on PayPal. You can see the recent price action, the upward trend line that we had on that daily chart. And in the video back here on these days, I was talking about this was an objective area to short because we were back testing that trend line resistance on the daily chart. And there's, that's basically the back test. And then, down she went pretty fast. You can see that's 5 days. And we pretty much wiped out, all this price action, which is, roughly 35 days. So 35 days of grinding higher taken out in 5 days. And that's how it works. That's how the downside works for the most part. It usually happens pretty fast. And that's why you can't wait usually for the selling to start to really show you, hey, we're in a downtrend. I know that's what everyone wants to do. They want to say, hey, the trend is your friend until the end. And that is true. But I try to use the indicators and to give me a heads up that the trend's about to change before the trend changes, because the trend has changed, obviously, right here. Now, we closed at support on Friday, so I think we'll bounce. But, big downtrend right there. And, and if this isn't the start of a downtrend, when is? Do you wait till you're all the way down here and then you start to short? Well, you've probably given up a lot of the meat on the bone at that point. So there was your objective shorting area right there. Nobody wants to short at all-time new highs, but that was the most objective area. And you had negative divergence on this thing that was just building, and down she went. So this one closed, looks like it's closing right. It closed right at support. So I'd expect we probably bounce. And what I would look for is probably some filling of these gaps. We could bounce here and bounce all the way back up to this area. A couple targets to watch for. You got the bottom of the gap right there, which would be about 295.37. I would say that would be probably the bounce target, and then a resumption of the downtrend. All right, but once it started selling off, it's down in 5 days, down 11%. That's a pretty good fall in 5 days. So I'd expect a bounce. Now, if you don't get a bounce and we just keep falling, which is very unlikely but possible, then that just shows that there's the market's trading. There's just a lot of distribution happening. There's a lot of pent-up sellers, all right? It just shows that there's likely this is going to be a bigger move if we see more selling than just if we don't get a bounce at support levels and you just see breaking right down through those support levels, it tells you there's something bigger going on. Okay, that's PayPal. Let's look at some of these other shorts. Snap, I'm not short this thing. I got out of this short a while back. So I got out of the short. We had this downtrend line right here. And I got out of the short when it recovered or broke above the downtrend line right up there. That's where I got out. I either got out right here Yeah, or I got out when it, back tested. But right in that area is where I bailed on the short. Again, we broke above that resistance, so there wasn't necessarily a reason to be short at that point. And then we went up and hit this high, made a higher high in momentum, not a higher high in price. Now we've gapped up on earnings. They've gapped it up. And I've got this circled up here because I'm looking for the potential of a island cluster top reversal pattern. That's where you get a series of candles that gap up, and then you trade up in a range, and then you gap down and kind of leave those candles up there, creating that floating island. So if you get that, that's a reversal pattern that likely is going to tell you that the top of this thing, a near-term top, is in. If I see that, I'll let you guys know. Until then, I'm not really interested in shorting this one. Looking at the momentum, I mean, we do have negative divergence. That, this is a divergent high as well. So we have a new divergent high. We have a gap up. I think there is the potential for the island cluster top reversal, but until it shows up, we just have to wait on that one. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, moving on to SQ. So SQ looks fine in general. I've got that one. I think I have that somewhere. There it is. So SQ, we've got this uptrend line. This is the line I'm keying off of on the daily chart. This uptrend line right there. We put in divergent highs up here. These were divergent highs. We broke trend right there. There's your kind of sell signal breakdown. And ever since we broke trend, we've just been backtesting ever since. So that can be frustrating, especially if you short on the initial breakdown. And again, you just have to kind of figure out your risk reward ratio. If you were targeting maybe a move down to 170 as a support level, or maybe 135, then you got to figure out what your risk reward ratio is. On the breakdown, that's a move of 40%, so you could probably give it a 10% stop loss. And that would be from, if you took the sell signal right here, you probably would have been stopped out right in this area, this back test right up here. So that's one way to treat it. Another way is to step in or add to shorts at the back test, and that's what we got again. So I'd be looking for the cues to break down. This thing's not going to go too far down unless you get that breakdown, but we are just back testing. You can see they just barely recovered it, and it still failed and heading lower. So if I had to pick a position or a side, I'd pick short, and I would look for a move all the way down here to 192.99, and then, probably lower if you get back down there, targeting maybe this 170. There, obviously, way down here is major support. That was a major breakout from this level at 84. So if we have something really bad going on in the general markets, and you see a broad-based market sell-off, we could potentially get all the way down there, but that's unlikely. Pretty improbable. So I'd look at those levels first. All right, that's SQ. Lift. So Lift. Excuse me. So I took my profit on Lift right here. And if you go back and look at the video, I talk about that. This is where I took my profit that day. We fell down. The buyer stepped in early before we even got to that support level. And then we bounced. So that was where I took my profit. I have not been back in the trade. What I was looking for is a retest of this trend line right here. You can see on this daily chart, we have a trend line right there. I was looking for a retest of that. We never got it. The seller stepped in early there, stepped in early there. They never got the full retest, so I actually never reshorted this thing. Now, if it does want to ramp up and run up and hit that, I'd be looking to reshort it up there. And if it did that, that would be an all-time new high too. So that would be a new divergent high most likely. No short. I'm not short on this one, but obviously, I think it looks like it's downtrending. We clearly had a nice move, kind of flagging out right here is what this looks like. And we can kind of mark that up. It looks like a bear flag. If you go to the hourly, you can probably narrow it down, kind of sharpen it up a little bit. There you go. And then the top of the range would be something like that. So that's a bear flag. Doesn't mean it has to play out, but that's what it looks like. So the way that these trade out is usually You get the flagpole, then you flag out, and then you resume the flagpole. So what you want to do is take the original flagpole right here and just draw that out basically from the top of the flag. I'll show you guys. You basically want to take your line and draw out your flagpole and then look for the breakdown, something like that, top of the flag. And it depends on when it breaks. So when it breaks the flag to the downside, then you can mark it out, your measured target of wherever it broke at, and then that would be like your target. So right now, if we break, I would say we're probably going to target down here. I would look at this level. They stepped in early before. I think you probably get down to that 43.54 would be the target. So in general, I think it's a bearish pattern. Looks like it's going down. Earnings is coming up next week, so we'll see. All right, and then we've got AE. I'll just do a real quick review of these ones, but AEO. All right, I'm still short. Nothing tells me to not be short this. All right, AEO, you have an uptrend line. They have not recovered it. Now, if they recover it, you know, let's say they gap up. Earnings are coming up here in a little while. Let's say they gap it up and it trades up here and it can hold up here. And I wouldn't want to see it just gap up and then just barely be able to hold that trend line. I'd want to see it gap up and then start to run, you know. And if it does that, okay, I'll stop out, you know. But as of right now, we've broken. We're kind of back testing. I think we're heading lower. All right, that's what that tells me. Maybe it'll trade out, just kind of grind around till earnings and then go down. Who knows? Still short that one. JCI, I'm still short this one. Uptrend line, clean uptrend line on JCI, bearish rising wedge, divergent highs. You got negative divergence. I don't know where my lines went. This thing can be a little funny, but negative divergence, meaning you've got momentum trending down while price is trending higher. We broke. That's a nice sell signal right there. See that breakdown, a break of trend? The sellers noticed that and smashed it down with follow through or confirmation, another selling candle. Okay, so that's a pretty good sell signal. But then right when things look good, that's usually when they do the counter trend move to shake you out. And that's just the nature of market makers and how it works. As far as I can tell, we back tested right here, kind of grinding a little bit, but I think we're going lower. We had earnings. Earnings is out of the way. So I think this thing, if it wants to drop now, because a lot of the time we broke trend, but nobody's gonna sell it off. They want to hear what the earnings has to say. Now that earnings out of the way, I think it's free and clear to start to drop, and I think it's likely to do that. So I'm still short that one. And then EMR is really the same as JCI. This one they've been ramping a little bit harder. Excuse me. Uptrend line in EMR. Negative divergence. Just been building for a while. And we broke trend. That's flipping around on me. We broke trend right there. Big sell signal. They run it. Counter trend move. And that sell signal also had follow through right there. So they've just been flagging this thing out. I think we're going to break. What earnings are coming up next week. So this is likely going to break on or after the earnings, I believe. And we'll start to downtrend. 87.20 looks like a good support level. And we might have a level right here now. Right about there at 93.48. We could mark that out. Okay, that's all I have on that one. I'm still short. All right, guys, I'm moving on. Just kind of scanning the comments. So again, if you're new, leave me a thumbs up. I do appreciate that if you guys find some value out of this. And then also just leave a comment of stocks you want me to look through, and I just kind of get through it and scan through them. All right, BTBT. Okay, I have no idea what this one is, so we'll take a look. All right, so we've got low price stock. So anytime you're looking at a low price stock, you usually want to pare down your position sizing. That's important. You know, position sizing is That's a very important thing. One thing that like new traders they'll like a trade, so they'll go real heavy in it, and then it just starts to not work and go against them just a little bit. Even if the trade technically still looks good, the setup's still there, and there's no technical change in the chart, you haven't broken support or recovered resistance or any of that, they'll get shaken out of the trade. And if that happens to you, then I would suggest you're likely a little too heavy in the position, and you see those losses, and it's just too emotionally hard for you to just deal with those losses. So that happens when you're too heavy in the position. So what you need to do is realize that, recognize that, taper down your position to the point where you can stay in a trade as long as the trade technically is still good. Okay. And so that's just some advice there on that one. This one, so you had an uptrend line right here. We broke trend, obviously. That's already played out. So now I'd probably be looking for more upside. Well, there's a clear breakout. I mean, you have this downtrend. I'll have to tighten it up probably on the hourly. Something like that right there. And big bullish breakout. Came back in for a back test. So I'd likely, I'd want to be buying on the breakout here, or you didn't get the full back test, you got close, but this is the area I'd want to be buying. I wouldn't want to be buying it now. It's already started to move. The risk reward to go long now is it's already up 65% in a matter of days. So levels to probably watch. Yeah, I think you hit it actually right there. Somewhere right there. Let me tighten that up. Well, yeah, right in there maybe would be possible resistance up there at 1120. But again, you're right in the middle of the range. Here's the buy zone down here, and this might be the sell zone. So risk reward is just not a good trade. Thanks, Pradeep. I do appreciate that. Silver. You want me to look at silver? So what? SLV. All right, we can look at SLV. So again, the way that I track silver is gold. I use gold to do it, and silver is kind of a beta trade on gold, so you can get more volatility out of it. Again, I don't think anything's changed. Support right there at about 2208, resistance about 2520. Big gap right there. I think we're probably gonna probably ping off of these ranges, but I would say a run up. Gold looks pretty bullish right now to me, so I think silver is likely gonna get up to here, 25.16. A break above that, and likely going higher. We have this trend line here that we kind of broke, so if we break up, maybe we want to run up and back test, make a new high. I don't know. As of right now, I just look at that level right there, 25.19. Looking at let me check out these, the momentum indicators. Slight bullish momentum with bearish price action. So that's bullish divergence. Divergent low. So we could go lower and maybe hit the support and keep that bullish divergence. Down there, I definitely would want to be buying at 22.10. Right now, you're in the middle, so I wouldn't take a trade right here. If you're in it, I'd probably want to be long. And if you're not in it, I'd either wait to go long on a break above this level or a test of this support. All right, that's silver. ARC. Yeah, I looked at that one. Last week, I started to kind of look at that a little bit. Okay, so ARC. Let's see if my trend line, if I can make this trend line any other way. Yeah, I can't really make it any other way. So I guess I'll just leave that. So there was a sell signal, and that sell signal came with negative divergence. Again, these negative divergences just tell you that, okay, be on the lookout for a reversal of trend. And they don't, usually they have to build for a couple weeks. You'll see them, they're building for weeks, sometimes months, and then you get the trigger and the thing that, that you can actually take a trade on. So I do videos every day and I point out the negative divergence, and it can be repetitive because I'm just talking about how the divergence is building, be on the lookout, and then one day randomly that sell signal that I'm looking for shows up, and then, it's time to take the trade. So that's a sell signal there. But you did get a downward move. I think we're, as far as I can tell, this thing's downtrending. And I think we're likely going down to this area, 85.53. I can't really make out any other clean. There's a level right there. Now that we have a reaction. Okay, so resistance here, and then support. And then they dip below it, but that was a bear trap. And a divergent low. See, that bear trap came with bullish divergence. So these are the things that you can use to give you a heads up on the probability of something being kind of a bear trap or a bull trap. See that? This low right here, let me zoom out. This low was a higher low than the previous low, and yet the price was a lower low. Bullish divergence, all right? So this low, this breakdown was a divergent low, telling you that it was likely going to, reverse. And sure enough, it did. So as of right now, we don't really have any divergence. Price in the short term is moving up and momentum is moving up. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to take a trade on this right here. There's no level that you can key off of. Maybe if it runs up and makes a slightly new higher high and you get the divergence starting to build, then we'll look for a breakdown, things like that. Otherwise, I'd look for 105.76 as a level of support. Sorry, it's about 106.20. And then a break below that, and you're looking at 85.22. Okay, that's all I have on that one. ATER. I'll look at it. I don't know if it's going to be a long, but we'll try to see if it is. Yeah. Not the best. Well, you did get a reaction. So there it is. There's your trend line right in there. Broke, back test, fail. Okay. Just kind of scanning the momentum, seeing what we got going on. So we have bullish divergence, but it's not confirmed. So what I mean by that is you have a lower low in price than the previous low right there, and yet the momentum has not made a new lower low quite yet. So you'll see here, as I zoom in, like here's the PPO right there. It's a higher low, but it's pointed straight down. And so that's not confirmed yet. This could continue lower and take out take out this potential bullish divergence. You want to wait to see the momentum start to turn up to confirm bullish divergence. Then I would start to look. Once you have that, I'd start to look for a break of the downward momentum or downward trend line. Right now I see, here's the hourly chart. You can use that to kind of tighten everything up. Yeah, right in there. So if you get confirmed bullish divergence, be on the lookout for a bullish breakout of this downward trend, and that would be your buy signal. All right, I wouldn't want to be long until I see that, but if you get that, then you could go long, and then obviously, probably a back test of this trend line could be a target. Just depends on kind of where it's at when or if you get that bullish breakout. Again, this chart's not bullish right now. I'm just talking about what to look for if you're looking for a bullish setup. You want to see certain things show up. You want to see the PPO start to turn up like that, and the RSI start to turn up, giving you bullish divergence. Then you want to wait for a break of this downward trend line, a bullish breakout, a breakout candle. And not just like a little, you want to see a nice solid green candle. That's your buy signal. And then you can target the upside. Okay, that's how I treat it. Moving on. LAC. All right, guys, I'm trying to get through a lot of these. I'll try to speed it up a little bit. This one I've looked at before. Earnings coming up here pretty soon. No negative divergence that I see. So we just lower momentum, lower price. Okay. So just down, price is kind of downtrending, momentum's downtrending. I don't know. I don't see anything. I think probably lower, slightly lower. We're downtrending, so I think we just continue that trend. That's all I see, at least for the short term. Maybe look down here at some of these breakout levels, like right there. Looks like it wanted to, maybe down there at 962. Maybe we start to look for some bullish divergence. If you were to run down soon and make a new low, you would have bullish divergence, but we don't have it yet. So all I see is downtrend, and that's how I treat that one. AMD. Yeah, we can look at that real quick. All right, AMD, there it is. Okay, so I've been kind of stalking this one for a while. We have a new higher high coming in to backtest this trend line. Very, very close to backtesting that broken trend line coming off of 2016. So there's 2016. There's your bullish trend. We broke trend, backtest, 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 you know. So I think it's very likely this is the high or near the high, maybe a few, maybe up to this 109 area, somewhere right in there. We're through earnings. They ramped it right into earnings. But let's see what this looks like. This, there's negative divergence, but it's not confirmed. See how this is pointed straight up? So I'd want to see that start to turn down on the RSI and then clear negative divergence on the PPO there, coming back from this kind of former high area right there. But again, not confirmed. So again, I want to see this start to turn down again to give me a confirmation that we have a divergent high. And then I'd start to look for breakdowns. If the negative divergence shows up, then I'd probably, then and you get that confirmation, then I probably want to take a short right here. If I can get just a little higher, I'd love it. I don't know if they'll give it to you. Sometimes they step in early, but maybe just another 2% or so higher. That might be the area you want to short. So look for that. I don't see anything in Peloton right now. I've got it on my chart. Resistance right there, 125.42. Just treat that as resistance, and support is right. Looks like it's down here at 114. So that's all I have on that one. Roku. Yeah, so I'm looking for a back test. We did make a new divergent high right there. That candle was a new divergent high. Just barely higher than the former high, just pennies basically, and on lower momentum. So negative divergence, you can see, you get these negative divergences and they usually sell off into it. So I'd look at 389.03 as support. You break below that, you're probably heading down to 301.33. Yeah, just things to watch there. I don't see anything on NEO. I actually just took it off my shorts list. No, nothing that I'd be interested in actually trading right now on that one. NVIDIA, let me look at that one. So NVIDIA, I just have a bullish trend. And there's the COVID crash right there where they just whipped it, recovered it. Bullish trend. We haven't broken the major bullish trend in this one, so yeah, I don't see anything crazy. What happened to my RSI here? No. RSI went, guys. Yeah, we'll just use the PPO for now. I'll get it back. Well, here. Oh, I think this is the one I've been using. Okay, there it is. So NVIDIA, bullish trend. We have earnings coming up. No negative divergence. This is just a bullish chart across the board. I would not short this thing. There's no indication to short. I see bullish momentum. I see bullish price action. So in that scenario, I'd want to buy at support. Unless that technically changes, I'd look for pullbacks to support to buy, to go long. That's how I would do it. All right, moving on. ATKR. We'll just look at ATKR. A subscriber says there's a sell signal. Not that I see. Let me look. I can't really make a clean trend line off of the March 2020 lows. Maybe there is a potential trend line, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a lot of reactions to verify this. Could be this. You know, that might have been your sell signal. Earnings coming up, so I don't know. It's not. I don't like the trend line a lot, but maybe this is it. And you broke. You got a sell signal here. Clear negative divergence on the PPO right there. Like that's just been dropping. You know, so. And you know you have negative divergence on the RSI, so. Yeah, maybe this trend line, see, you know, a few more reactions would be nice, but earnings coming up, maybe they're going to gap it up into earnings, right into the resistance, and that's where you'd want to potentially short a gap up into there. Okay, guys, hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. You know, I do appreciate that. If you already hit it, great, appreciate that. Just one click. One little click is all it takes. All right, so I'm kind of scanning these comments. DocuSign. Oh, you know what? TGT I think is a little more interesting. So I've been eyeballing this one, and I've got this on a potential. It's not a short yet. I haven't been covering it quite yet in the videos, but I'll probably start covering it. I think there's going to be a sell signal on this one pretty soon. So this one is target. You got a clear uptrend line. And we broke trend, and we created this secondary bearish rising wedge just underneath the trend line. Just shows how resilient, and you know there's not a lot of volatility, so it just breaks and then just goes right back into this grinding bullish trend right below the former trend. But you know I'm looking for a break of this bearish rising wedge right here. We do have negative divergence that's intact and remains. On the PPO and the RSI. So I'm looking for a break of this lower trend line right there on the daily chart, and that would be the sell signal. We have earnings coming up, so maybe they're probably just going to, if they're going to sell this, maybe they sell it down right before earnings. That's possible, but it's likely going to grind around. What I suspect they'll do is probably break and then just grind sideways into earnings, and then we'll start to figure out which way we're going to move. But again, we don't have that. There's no reason to short this. I need to see this thing break this trend line right there. Sorry, I'm trying to extend this one here. Okay, so look for that. Look for a big breakdown candle in target. That one to me looks. That looks like an interesting setup that I think is gonna. You know, it's very similar to American Eagle, AEO. They're retailers, so. I think those look good. But again, waiting for that sell signal. Okay. Net Yeah, net is almost a short, as far as I can tell. Not quite a short, but almost. So negative divergence here. We have confirmed negative divergence as well, because you'll see the high, how we turned down right there. So we've turned down. So I'm looking for just a little bit higher if I can get it. You know, a back test of this trend line, a complete back test. Earnings coming out, so that's probably going to give us, if it's going to back test, maybe you get that opportunity on earnings, and they'll ramp it up right into here. 120, if I can get the level. Yeah, maybe, well, earnings would be on this day, so it's probably going to be up around the 130 area. And then that would be the objective area to short if you can get it. So that's another 10% up or so. And it, you know, so I'm not interested in being long because of the negative divergence. We've broken the trend that it was building, and we're back testing. But I would look at another, you know, shorting up 10% higher if I can get it. IWM, the small caps, that thing's just been going sideways for like a year. So again, you know, it's range bound. You know, just look for that. That's all that we really, just keep it simple. So I've got resistance up there at 233.42 and support. I have it right here at about 204.92. They've been stepping in a little bit early, so we've almost created like a secondary support line right in here. But it's kind of a support zone. Until we break one side or the other of that, I'm just not really interested in it, you know. And if you want to trade the range, that's fine, you know, short up here, long down here. That would make sense with the stops, you know, not too far below or above. Until then, I don't see anything. Gold miners look bullish to me. All right, so HMY, someone's asking about HMY. There's going to be volatility. But in general, I mean, look, here's a solid downtrend, just lots of downtrend, and then we're uptrending now. You know, you can see it. It's not you know, impulsive yet, but we're uptrending. Could be bear flagging. You know, that is potential. Maybe it's bear flagging, but this looks like the correction in gold, and this looks like the pattern where we're starting to. This is, to me, it looks like where the smart money is buying back in. Okay. If you recall, back here in August, I didn't own this one up here, but I had like gold miners like Barrick and stuff back in August of 2020 area. I sold all my miners. I got out of a lot of them. It went into this long correction, and I just let it do its thing. And I started to buy back in right down here on this one. We then broke out. All right, back tested again. All right, so I think longer term, we're gonna move higher. But there is always the potential to you know, there is a support line all the way down here on this one. Looks like 1, 2, 3 reactions, and you know, the long-term support's down there at like 325, but that doesn't mean we're going to hit that right here and now. We could just run up and continue to make a nice long bullish leg higher and then fall off and hit support in the future. So we don't know. In the short term, everything, these look bullish to me. Gold looks bullish. Okay. All right. I'm getting lots of comments here, so I got to kind of speed it up. I'm going to go for about another 20 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. Went long at PayPal at 275. I did already cover PayPal, but is that bounce zone? Yeah. All right. Well, that makes sense. That's probably where I'd want to go long too. For a bounce play, yeah, I like it. So if you don't get that bounce, then just bail. Take a small loss. But it closed at support on Friday, so I like that. XLE energy. Yeah, I'm not going to cover the energy stuff right now. I've been kind of looking at it. Well, I guess now that I'm talking about it, I can look at it. You know, so momentum is down right now in energy in the short term, but we have this uptrend line. I think energy is going to break, and I've been watching this drip thing trade out. I think energy is going to come down a little bit. We've like drip to me looks like we had this downtrend line right here, broke to the upside, hit resistance. We're kind of flagging out like this, and I'm looking for a move like that. And if that does that, you know, drip is a bearish, 2 times leverage bearish ETF or N, or you know, basically a ETF. And I'm looking for a move up here to 14. We had bullish divergence on this thing down here. I have it circled. That's your divergent lows. So bullish divergence, clear bullish divergence there building on the PPO for quite some time. So again, bullish. It's bullish in this chart, and this is a bear fund. So that means you know, oil looks bearish to me. Because, and you can see the negative divergence there. See that in the XLE? So these are your oil stocks funds, and you know, you have divergent high, divergent high. I think we're going to break to the downside. So I'm not going to short oil because I think, I mean, longer term, the inflation trade seems to be the right side. But, you know, you could short it, obviously. I'll probably be looking for areas to buy oil on a pullback. I don't know. Maybe I'll short oil. Drip looks good. I did trade that, and I did catch it all the way up to that resistance line. A break above this area on 958, then, you know, we could get that move up to 14. So I might trade that. All right. Nike just is grinding higher. You know, that thing's just moving higher. And I don't see, you know, yes, we are starting to get that negative divergence. I did notice that on Friday. We're just now starting to get it to show up, where this is a divergent high. So we do have negative divergence, but moving higher. What I would look for, let's go to the hourly. You really have to get it on the hourly here. Is probably something like this. And I would look for a break of that. And if you break that, then I think it's pretty likely we're going to actually run down and fill this gap all the way down here. Okay? Until then, the thing's bullish. All right? That's all I see. Can I do technical analysis for BA and Tesla? Well, I do cover Tesla quite a bit. I'm looking for 460 area on Tesla to the downside. They were ramping it the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday. They kind of ramped it a little bit. On the hourly, I don't know. As far as I can tell, maybe we need to extend this down. Something like that. Earnings are out of the way, so I think it's downtrending. You've got this clear downtrend. I think we're going to do that. So, yeah. You see, bigger picture, you can see back here, this uptrend, we were making higher highs and higher lows. Higher high, higher low. We were uptrending. Even here, we kind of wedged out a little bit and then broke out to the upside. And now we've changed. We're now making lower highs and lower lows. So I don't see any indication that that downtrend has changed. And I'm looking for this 460 as a profit target. Boeing. Interesting. Okay, so Boeing, March 2020 lows, uptrend, but we've started to put in negative divergence on the momentum indicators. There's an equal high right there, or maybe a slightly higher high. Let me zoom in on the RSI. That's a slightly higher high, so that wasn't really a divergent high, but let's check this out. That's not really a divergent high either because we didn't make a new higher high in price. We have big negative divergence from way back here on the RSI. That remains. The PPO is a little clearer. You know, that's a pretty clean negative divergence right there. Broke trend. This is the trend line that I can see. We broke it. Pretty impulsive too. Just a big move down. But again, that's a breakdown that occurred right before earnings. So that's always suspicious. When you see breakdowns or breakouts right before earnings with divergence, that's a red flag in my book. So always look for the fake out move if you get that set up. And then when you see the fake out move, you can take advantage of it. But don't you know, again, that usually you can anticipate that kind of stuff. It shows up. You breakdown before earnings with divergence. Then they they ramped it up into resistance, and so far it's been rejected. So as far as I can tell, this is an objective area. This was an objective area to short right there at 232.69. Maybe it wants to backtest some more. Until you recover that, I would look at shorting this thing. And you know, you've got some support on Boeing right about there, it looks like. So maybe a move down to 193.88. Yeah. You also have this longer term downtrend coming all the way back off 2019, and you can see longer term we're downtrending. So we haven't hit it recently. Maybe we break down and then bounce and hit it. I don't know what happens there in the future, but you definitely are in a longer term kind of bear market. Going back to 2019. That's a nasty crash, that COVID crash on Boeing. All right. Couple more, and then I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to try to see what we can get here, guys. Okay. Thanks for the super chat, vertical spreads. I'll do yours next. Do appreciate that. OSTK, so that's Overstock. That's a Bitcoin proxy. So, for this one, you really want to look at Bitcoin as well, BTC. So we'll cover that as well. I think that's important. Overstock right now. So you have downward momentum, but you also have downward price action. So you can see we made a lower high, and then lower high in momentum. So downward price, downward momentum. Okay. Now, I know it looks like the price is going sideways, but as far as I can tell, it's actually downtrending because we're making lower highs. So what will happen, or what I anticipate would happen, is we're going to come down and make a new lower low, and then it's obvious, but down here is not where you want to be like shorting because now we're downtrending because we made a new lower low. Well, that's about the time that they usually try to start to make that new move higher. But there's this range right here, this support level at 47.87, and this line up here, I think we're probably going to move this now to something like this. I'd probably want to go off of that. So that's resistance, and support is right down there at 47.50. We're in the middle of the range, so not an area I'd be looking to take a position, but if you can get back up there, then I'd want to short. And otherwise, if you break 47.51, an impulsive breakdown, then I would look for the short down to 29.90, and that should be good support down there. All right, so that's what I see. Maybe we're gonna drop down to that 29.90, and that's where it wants to, base out and start to build support. So that's what I see on that one. You also want to look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin futures. Okay, so here's Bitcoin. You have a downtrend line You have bullish divergence. The move up and higher in Bitcoin, it was really priced into the chart. I don't trade Bitcoin a lot. I just let it do its thing. But bullish divergence with a downtrend line here, and there's a breakout. You actually broke out a couple days early, and then obviously a pretty impulsive breakout right there. So I would say Bitcoin's going higher in the short term up to about 44,670. That should be your next area of resistance. And yeah, I don't see anything else telling me that you know, I would look at that as the level of resistance. You're probably going to get a pullback there. Yeah, that's all I see in that one. So in the short term, Bitcoin looks bullish a little bit more, but it's at the, you know, it's almost to that target. So maybe you get a pullback all the way back down to 30,000 once you hit that 44,760. And then Roku. Got to get back to our stock. Bullish trend here. Negative divergence. Let's see. Did we make a new high? Yes, we did. Okay, so we have continued negative divergence. This is an equal high on the RSI. Let me pull that up real quick. If I can get it to go. Actually, a slightly lower high. So equal or lower high than the former high, and that's negative divergence. Right there, and then here, and then that there. Okay, and then there's your former high in price, and then recently you can see it popped it just over that former high by a couple pennies, and then down shoes going. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're not at the trend line, so if it could run up and hit that trend line. Any trade I'd want to take on this would be to the short side. I don't know if I'd want to short it right here, but I definitely would want to short it if it kept these negative divergences intact up here on the back test of that trend line. Otherwise, I'd just be looking for a break of this 387.76. That looks like your support. So I'd be looking for a break of that support. And a break of that support, a nice impulsive breakdown, that's your sell signal. And that's how I'd want to be looking to trade this thing. Either shorting up here or shorting on a break of support. I would not want to be long. Yeah, that's what I'd want. Okay, and Jonathan, thank you. Citigroup. Okay, Citigroup. Let's look at that one. I did not cover that yet. Yeah, still looks like it's downtrending. Yeah, we got some bullish divergence on the RSI. And yeah, it's there on the PPO. That's an equal low basically, but lower lows in price. So as far as I can tell, divergent low, divergent low. And you've got major support down there at about 61.93. I'm not sure why 63. Probably because it's kind of a range is what I maybe said in the past. Oh, sorry, I need that line tool. Yeah. But this level just doesn't have a lot of reaction, so it's just not. I like this one better right there. It's about 62, right down in here. So I think another move lower, to be honest. But and then that will run into support with divergence. That's what I'd be looking for. One thing that you'd want to see if you do get it, let's say they move it down to this support level and they dip it just below. Look for the recovery. If they recover that would be a good buy signal right in there. If you get that kind of price action where they dip below a support and then recover it, that's your stop rate. So that's the algos and the market makers running stops so that they can take a position. So yeah, I think a little lower. I'd be interested in buying this down there. And that's still another, 7 to 10% down. I already looked at net. So That one net is a little higher, and I think there's a short setup on that one if you could get it a little higher. But I did cover that. And let's see here. Did I miss? What did I miss, guys? I'm just about to wrap up. Vegas super spreader status. Well, I'm short MGM. And I've got that somewhere in this list. Yeah. So I am short MGM. I shorted it on this sell signal right there. That's your breakdown. That's where I got short on this thing. It's, you know, it's profitable. It's about 11% or so profitable. Yeah, so I'm looking for 34 on that one. I think that still looks good to the downside. BYD, I covered that one. I did cover that short. I covered it right down here at the support 50.75 that I had marked out. It looks probably like a good area to, you know, reshort it, right? We ran into that former resistance. They popped it a little bit, but right in here at about 58.37 looks like probably the area where you could reshort it for the next leg lower, which is likely going to be all the way down here to 43.73 or so. And yeah, well, and ultimately good support right down here. So I think that's where this thing's headed over the long term, is down into this range, 39 down to 36.50. And that's probably the end of the run for the downside on that one. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more, and then we're going to wrap up. If you guys haven't given me a thumbs up, please do that. I do appreciate that. And, you know, if you're new and you haven't checked out the course, I've really only gotten really good comments on the course. You know, people do learn a lot, and it's ultimately a culmination of all the lessons I've learned in the market on how to use the charts to find trade ideas, how to trade those ideas once you enter them, risk management, all the concepts that will really help you navigate markets over the long term. So check that out. That's in the link. I put it, it's in all my videos basically, but there's a link in there. And what, 8? What? Okay. Which one do you guys want? I'm going to do 2 more. Well, when is likely going to be a bearish chart because the gaming stocks to me look bearish. I mean, I'm sure MGM. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, but yeah, you know, this has already started to play out, so it's not. I wouldn't want to be shorting it right here and now. I'd want to be shorting it right there. So yeah, we'll just not. We need some new stocks. Well, yeah, well, that's kind of what we're looking for is, you know, setups. You know, I cover the ones that look good that I see at the time. Sometimes, you know, we're in the summer, you know, slow months in the summer sometimes, so we can get a lot of grinding action. Target, you know, TGT, I covered that. That's kind of a new setup. AEO still looks good. They, you know, the trades haven't, some of these short trades haven't played out yet. Like BlackRock, I think I think the trade still has to play out. But, you know, you got the uptrend line there, bearish rising wedge, sell signal. All right, there's your sell signal right there, back test. All right, so I think we're going to do this down here, at least down to 790. Potentially lower, but at least down to 790. And that's a drop, you know, that's going to be a drop of, you know, 10% or so. We get down to this next level, 667, that would be a total trade of 24%. So I like that, you know, that trade has not started to play out. So again, I'm not going to give you a trade that just plays out every single day. You know, it's going to be, you know, this is more about trades that, you know, play out over time. All right, 2 more. AMG just broke trend. All right, well, let's look at that. All right, so AMG. I do not have this one charted, so we'll take a look. There's your trend line. Okay. So you can, yeah, there's your trend line. That looks good. One reaction, you know, two, and then this is good confirmation right there. There's a break of trend, so that is a sell signal. Did we have any insight into that sell signal coming? We did. See the negative divergence? Okay, yeah, that's a good setup. And it actually just triggered, so divergent, there's your negative divergence. So divergent high, and there's your sell signal right there. So yeah, I do like that. So yeah, I'll probably take a trade on this actually on Monday. I would have preferred to get it, you know, a little higher, but you know, if it gaps up Monday and we go up to here, that, yeah, I like that. That's going to be a good short. And any kind of back test that you get is objective to short. All right, that's the best area to short. This thing, you know, if it back tested, could go up another about 6% or so on a back test. So you got to give it a little wiggle room, but as far as I can tell, this just broke, and the target is pretty obvious. Would be this breakout candle right there. All right, so that would be 118.50, I think would be the target. It's a not pretty obvious target, so you might want to step in a little early and cover, you know, cover up at this maybe 119.50 or $1 above or something like that. All right, and that would be a total trade of, from where we're at, of a drop of about 25%. Good setup. Who gave me that one? David? Good setup there. That did just break trend. That's the kind of setup that you want to look for. And so, now there is some support here. Right about there. Okay, so there's your support. It's about 148.64. I'll probably, if I can get the back test, that's beautiful. I don't know if I'll get it, but if you do get that back test, earnings are out of the way as well. So it did break on earnings. So we don't have any headline risk necessarily. So yeah, I'd just be looking to, you know, I'd be looking to add to the short or establish one on a back test, or just, you know, I might just get in on this on Monday and just give it some, if it wants to back test, maybe just add to it. Looks good. All right, and then one more. Crowd. The crowd break trend. All right, we can just wrap it up here then. Crowd strike. So this is divergent high, you know, this price action. But you got support right here at 249.75 or so. Look for a sell signal or a break of that. See this one? See this candle? See how they broke it down intraday? They made it look like it was going to break. I'll take those all day long, but I just get out of it when I see the recovery. So, you know, if it breaks, you know, I might short it here, but as it starts to recover, I bail because I'm like, okay, it's not going to get that daily close. But you get that breakdown in that daily close below there, then that tells me that's your sell signal. All right, and if we get that break, yeah, then I would probably look for a move down to 227.38 as your next level of support. And below that, you know, it's going to be down here. Oh, if I can get the trend line. Right down there. 169.09. So those are levels I'd watch on that, but I wouldn't want to short this until I saw that break, that daily break of, you know, 249.30 or whatever, right in there, that trend line. Nope, I didn't discuss pins. That one got murdered out on earnings. I saw that. So yeah, I think you're late to the party if you're going to try to short that thing after how bad it fell off. That's really all I got, guys. So leave me a thumbs up on your way out. I'm going to wrap it up, and I will catch you guys on Monday. Yeah, let me know, you know, if leave something in the comments if you guys want to see any other charts, and I'll scan through those as I have time. Have a good weekend.